there's nothing wrong with wanting more out of your relationship. There's nothing wrong with wanting to go deep and really connect on an intimate, vulnerable, juicy, passionate level. There's nothing wrong with that. But there is something wrong with expecting your partner to read your mind and telepathically pick up on whatever it is, whatever that nutrient is that you feel like is missing. This is unfair because essentially you're putting them through a test that they don't know they're taking.
There's the 5 love languages, but being aware that the way you receive and feel love is oftentimes the way you default to giving love and showing love to others. So having an awareness of the chance that you're probably unconsciously doing that, and if for whatever reason your significant other doesn't have a primary love language that's the same as the way that you receive love, you might be just missing. Mm-hmm. You might be completely like throwing the ball downfield and there's nobody there to receive it.
Totally. Welcome back to the Medicin podcast. My name is Mimi and I have my beautiful man smiling at me here.
What is going on, everybody? My face is probably quite shiny.
I think it's beautiful.
My face is shiny. My hair is greasy. I had a bucket of Manuka honey poured on my face today.
They're like, geez, what are they into?
Kinky stuff. I had a bucket of Manuka honey poured on my face today. And when I open my eyes wide, my eyelids stick.
Can you explain?
I had a facial, a birthday gift actually, that is about, 8 months overdue for really an incredible facial from this woman named Jennifer here in San Diego.
Shout out Jennifer Ruffalo.
Yeah, she did a number on my face for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And that included a bath of honey, which was surprising. I didn't know that was if there would have been a bear in sight, I would have been fucked. Like my face would be gone. Maybe even if there were bees nearby, they would look to make a new home on my face. And so
she curates these handmade masks that she incorporates into the facial. Mine was a little different. Mine had blueberries and some other goodies in there, antioxidants and stuff. And she was like painting it on with a paintbrush.
Yeah,
it was really nice.
I must have had like the ideal face for honey because she spared no shortage of honey was applied to my face, and it was nice. Like it was seeping through my lips.
You're like,
yeah. So I got my.
You're like, do you have any like crackers I could just?
Oh, I think she knew I was looking to up my carbs. Yeah. And was like, I'm gonna give this guy a little simple sugar here while we're doing this. It was incredible. It was nice. So with that, I'm greasy. I'm slimy.
I think you're glowing.
I'm glowing. Yeah, pores have been completely shrunk down to nothing, so my face is. You
look like a baby.
I look like a baby. That's the idea. So she guarantees the look of a baby upon completion, and so she did that. She followed through.
But seriously, if you guys are in the San Diego area and you want like a facial that's also like a spiritual experience, Jennifer is your girl. Hit me up. I'll hook you up.
Yeah. Well, I'm stoked to be talking about this today.
Yeah.
These are areas we've touched on in the past over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But some of them new, and I would say even more relevant in the world of 2023 and some of the relationship challenges that people might be going through. I think we talk about it all the time, how important it is to be made aware of the things that you are unconscious to. Mm-hmm. You don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
So the more that you can expose yourself to opportunities for like, hey, whoa, shit, I haven't thought about that yet, is going to be even better for not only your life, but your relationship. And today we are talking about ways that you are subconsciously, unknowingly, unconsciously,
without knowing, unaware,
sabotaging your relationship.
Yeah. And these are things that we all deal with at some point in long-term relationship. I would argue all of us. And like you said, you don't know what you don't know. But when you hear that something like what we're going to talk about, these 6 ways that you're sabotaging your relationship possibly, just stay open. When you hear us talk about it, just sit in like kind of like reflection mode. It's I think, dangerous to hear someone speaking or whatever and immediately like, oh no, I never do that.
Right.
I think just staying open and just being in a reflective mode of like, hey, where does this show up? And kind of leading with that. And just know that like we're in this work too. Like all of these things that we're going to be talking about today, we still are putting in time and
Absolutely.
reps in the relationship gym. We are not perfect by any means. We are experts on our own experience. And I would like to say that through all of our relationship struggles and craziness, we've learned a lot. And the relationship really has been our, I would say, most profound spiritual evolution tool. Mm-hmm. And that's available to everyone if we but make it so.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So just stay open and, take what resonates and leave the rest.
Love it.
Yeah.
Before we jump in,
yeah,
I got to know, what do you have going on in your cup?
In my little mug here today, it's really simple. I wanted to nourish my body, nourish my uterine wall. And I'm drinking red raspberry leaf tea. I'm on my cycle, and I'm sure there's some listeners that already use this and know, but if you're a woman, if you have a uterus, and if you have a cycle, this is a really good tool for strengthening the uterine wall. And when you do that, a lot of women say that their cramps decrease. So I like to drink it every now and then when I'm on my cycle, I try to have it every day. And there's a whole host of other benefits as well. But if you're someone that has bad cramps, that's not normal. And you can do things. You can change up your diet, change up your lifestyle habits. But this is a really quick, easy thing that you can add in. The brand that I use is...
I use it as well.
No, you don't. It's called Traditional Medicinals. We're not affiliated. I don't have a discount code or anything, but you can find them everywhere. I really like their brand of tea. And I've noticed that when I drink this on a regular basis, like my cramps are basically next to zero. And so it's been really helpful. And I think a lot of women would say the same. So check out Traditional Medicinals red raspberry leaf tea. Chase likes to call it my Ute juice.
Ute juice, that's right. Raspberries are amazing.
They are.
There's so many benefits and different derivatives of raspberry and the raspberry plant. There's people have used it for fat loss strategies using raspberry ketones. Raspberries themselves are like very sweet, but just seriously low in sugar, mm-hmm. and make a really great addition to like smoothies and stuff. I don't particularly like raspberries compared to the other berries that are out there. A little too much of a seed situation going on for me. But because of the benefits and the general just like sweetness without all the sugar, big fan over here.
Yeah. I will say it tastes nothing like raspberries. It tastes like a plant. So it's fine though. We digress. What you got going on over there in your mushy mug, my love?
My mushy mug, I got the one and the only Mushy Love Latte,
Woo!
baby. You guys should know what Mushy Love Latte is by now. This is our baby. Mm-hmm. This is our
mushy baby.
Mushy baby. It's everything that our journey has been into a physical product. The healing powers of mushrooms, not mm-hmm. unlike the healing powers of working on your relationship.
Yep.
Mushy Love Latte is a delicious, caffeine-free, mushroom-based latte that tastes like a cinnamon roll. Cinnamon swirl flavor. It's got 1 gram of mushrooms. Why is that important? It makes it one of a kind. It makes it significantly more efficacious than other mushroom lattes, teas, mm-hmm. coffees. Most of the time you're getting about, anywhere from 250, maybe 350. At best, you're getting 0.5 gram of mushrooms in your lattes or coffees or elixirs. what we have with Mushy Love is we want to literally at least double what the market standard is for mushrooms, and put a gram of mushrooms in this thing. So we have 500 milligrams of tremella mushroom, which has a ton of benefits for hydration, for beauty, skin health, digestion, and immunity. The traditional adaptogenic nature of mushrooms is not lost with tremella. And then chaga. Chaga's been a staple for people who are used to consuming mushrooms for a long, long time. Ton of benefits for immunity, again, really great for digestion, for skin health, and so
hair health, nail health.
This is a gift to your body, and it happens to taste freaking amazing.
Yeah,
it's low sugar, it's low calorie. We intentionally did not include any alternative sweeteners, even like the healthy ones that you would be used to. A lot of times you can kind of get away with sneaking in ingredients like sugar alcohols and erythritol, even monk fruit and stevia. People have gut disrupting side effects from using too much of these, even though, I'm a fan of monk fruit and stevia, or stevia, however you want to pronounce it.
You're fancy.
But we specifically chose organic maple sugar. People see that and their brain goes, oh, maple syrup. They put maple syrup in this thing. It's actually maple sugar, which has about 1/16 the amount of sugar as that of table sugar, traditional sugar. Yet
impact on your body, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, the blood sugar response, the insulin response, has 1/16 as that of just traditional sugar, yet is as sweet, and I would argue more robust,
way tastier,
more delicious. Yeah. So this thing is really, really yummy. How I like it myself, I like it mixed with steamed milk or cold milk. Milk of choice, coconut, almond, we use raw cow's milk. And so any one of those, you're going to have yourself a delicious latte. I even mix it with, and I've said this on the podcast before, but Organifi's chocolate protein, which makes the best mixture into any sort of coffee, tea, latte situation, because it is so frothy and delicious and kind of dissolves into the water quite nicely. So I actually mix it with Mushy Love. One, I get a little extra protein. I'm consistently having challenges hitting my protein targets every single day. And so getting little bits of protein here and there, even with the liquids that I'm drinking, is really beneficial. When it tastes like Cocoa Puffs, it's even better. And so Organifi's chocolate protein is one of my favorite products of all time. And then mixing it with my baby, my sweet baby girl. Not you, Mushy Love, is a really, really delicious way to experience kind of like a mocha latte mushroom protein orgasm.
Wow. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I love it.
Guys, and thank you for all the feedback. I know a ton of you have been loving Mushy Love. But if you want to get your hands on more and or have it for the first time, you can go to getmushylove.com. Anybody who listens to the Medicin podcast can use the code Medicin and get 10% off anytime. If you subscribe, the product is $48 on the website one time. If you subscribe, it's actually $38. You're saving over 20%. We've got a lot of subscribers.
Crazy good deal.
And it's a wild deal. So check it out. Obviously, we're super, super open to feedback. Love when you guys share on your Instagram stories, when you send us DMs, when you leave us reviews, and you're telling us how much you love Mushy Love. So that is much appreciated. And you can check out our medicine cabinet at themedicin.com and find links for Organifi as well. Organifi chocolate protein, you can use the code MIMIFIT and get 20% off all the time.
We'll have all the links and things in the show notes if you want to check there. And
if you don't want to buy products, we are constantly advocating for the brands and the products that we love, including the ones that we have formulated and made and brought to the market. But we also absolutely understand how expensive this can be. So an intention this year is to give away more of these products that we love. And we're doing that through the Medicin Drop email list. Yeah, this is a great way. It's so easy. It's almost like laughable how easy it is to add yourself to the giveaway. And then your name is in the hat for
one of these products that we talk about all the time. Could be AHCC, could be Mushy Love, could be Organifi, could be Keon, could be Ned. Like, we have so many that we love gifting and sharing with people. So if you want to get in on the Medicin Drop giveaway goodness, you can just go to our website, themedicin.com, and there will be a pop-up and it'll say join the Medicin Drop newsletter. And we have a weekly newsletter that goes out, and there's a new giveaway every single week.
Yep.
You open the email, drop your name into the submission form, and then the next week you would want to open the next email to see if you won. That's so freaking easy.
Yeah.
That's how easy it is to win some of these amazing products, and the odds are ever in your favor.
Yeah, for sure. I'm stoked about this. We're already getting like awesome feedback from the people we've been able to gift free shit to. So yeah, I think it's awesome, and I'm glad we're able to do that. Guys, if you are loving the show, let us know.
Yeah.
Share on
Makes
your
our day.
Stories, tag us on Instagram, DM us. And now you can see us on YouTube. And obviously, it would be wildly supportive if you gave us a subscribe. So I think, all the YouTubers are like, hey, click the subscribe button, and they point down and they tell you to subscribe. So
I want to be cool like
that's
them.
what I'm doing right now. It would be really, really helpful if you subscribed and watched the videos. We have shorts on there as well. But we're definitely trying to grow that channel and continue to reach as many human beings as possible in this ever-evolving human experience that we have.
Yeah, this is what people are craving. I think that we hear from people all the time. They love the long form episodes. They love the depth that we get into. And I think there's this nutrient that we're craving as a society, like going deep together.
Yeah.
And in conversation or watching a YouTube or whatever. It's a real gift. And it's a total blessing that we get to do this and call it work.
No doubt.
You ready to jump into the meat?
Let's get into it. I want to hear your number one way people are sabotaging their relationships.
And these are in no particular order.
Yeah, and they're definitely not all inclusive.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, we could go for hours and hours. But we chose 6, 3 each, and we're going to be alternating back and forth. We're going to go over, the general problem, the general unconscious problem or way that you could be sabotaging your relationship and not know it. We're going to go through examples. How does this show up in life? What does it look like in an actual relationship? How could this maybe sneak its way into the dynamic of your romantic relationship? We're going to talk about why it's harmful. What does this lead to if it stays unconscious, kind of thing. And then we're also going to offer solutions from our experience, what has worked for us, and then how we can continue to embody it. Because I will just say, this little disclaimer, there are levels to unconsciousness and becoming conscious. Unconsciously incompetent is like, you don't know what you don't know. Then someone flips on the light and you hear a podcast and you're like, you know what? I think I do that. Now you are consciously incompetent. Just by knowing that you do the thing doesn't mean that you're going to be able to switch or become perfect the next day. It takes practice and embodiment and just awareness at first. So
it takes fucking up too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And learning from that and letting it sink in that was like, ouch, that hurt, or ouch, I hurt somebody.
Yeah. We're just flipping on the light. Okay. So the first way that you could be sabotaging your relationship and don't know it is if you feel threatened by your partner's independence. So what this could look like, of course, there are a myriad of ways, but this could look like saying passive-aggressive comments about their interests outside the relationship, as if it takes away from what the relationship is. If you make your partner feel guilty for not spending all of their time with you, if you resent or, kind of speak badly about their friends because on some level you're jealous, guilting your partner into more time with you, discounting or making fun of their hobbies or other interests that are not the relationship, or, maybe like insisting that you come with them everywhere. Like if they say like, oh, hey, I'm going to go meet up with, Zach, we're going to go for a beach walk. And I'm like, oh, you didn't invite me?
Yeah.
Like it's a little needy.
Yeah.
It's more than a little needy. It really, this type of unconsciousness really kind of screams codependency. It's communicating to yourself and your partner that that you absolutely need them. You need to be with them for you to be okay.
Right.
And there could be a host of reasons why that's coming up. It could be childhood programming. It could be your attachment style. It could be a host of different things. But this is really, a good example of the line in Jerry Maguire, that famous misleading Jerry Maguire. And that could be too old for some people who are listening. If you're like a Tom
Cruise is still relevant.
It's true. Okay, watch Jerry Maguire. Very famous line. You complete me. And it sounds romantic, but really what it is codependency.
Yep. And
we've sort of normalized and romanticized codependency in relationship. And what we want to actually shoot for is interdependence. And I'm going to come back to that when we talk about solutions and embodiment. So this notion of you complete me sounds really romantic, but it quickly becomes sort of repulsive to your partner. And it can go both ways. In the early stages of relationship, it's really common to be totally infatuated with each other, to want to spend all your time with this person. You're getting to know them, you're learning about them. Everything is new and novel and fun, and that's great. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but as the relationship progresses, it's normal and I would say healthy to establish interests and hobbies in your own individual life and experience outside of the relationship and outside of just everything that you do with your partner.
And skills and capacities and abilities.
If you have a tendency towards codependency, or this might line up more so with the anxious attachment style. If you know that you have an anxious attachment style, this kind of person may worry that their partner is pulling away from them. So they get anxious and it feels uncertain. And there's this sense of anxiety, really. That's why it's called an anxious attachment style. You get this anxiety and they might seek constant reassurance to ease their sense of uncertainty within the bond. So they can become overly attentive to their partner. So think like helicopter mom, but in a romantic partner. Nobody wants a helicopter mom, and really nobody wants a helicopter partner. Initially, your partner may sort of like submit to your demands or your desires of wanting to be together all the time, or you saying like, no, I don't want you to hang out with the guys tonight. Like I wanted to watch a movie with you or whatever. That can quickly become codependent in an unhealthy way. And we should be encouraging our partner to have other interests outside of the relationship. So they may submit in the beginning to these demands or desires because they want to make you happy. But in the long run, this will likely transform into resentment for your partner, or their resentment towards you. You may feel your partner there physically with you, but emotionally they might be pulling away because, again, this type of clingy, anxious attachment style can become repulsive. And so they might start to pull away from you. So in your effort to keep each other close, stay close, in your effort for connection, you're actually driving your partner away eventually. I'm not saying that always happens, but they could just be not voicing it, and really, like, they could just be completely unfulfilled and unhappy, and you never know how that's going to turn out in a relationship.
Yeah, I think like drilling into the thing behind the thing that we talk about so much, I would argue that many of these circumstances, many of these cases have to do with one individual desperately wanting to be chosen, but being afraid of the risk that they won't be chosen. As such, they leave no other choices available to their significant other. You have to choose me. This is it.
Yeah.
So they're removing risk from rejection by offering one choice only.
Yeah.
Yet, if they leaned into an opportunity for their significant other to freely choose them when they feel like it, it will create the spark. It will create this sort of the love and acceptance that they've been so desiring. Of course, there's risk. There has to be risk in order for it to feel good.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like that idea of demanding a gift from someone.
Yeah.
Give me a gift. Yeah. And then they give you the gift and it's like, it doesn't feel quite as good when your partner just gives you a gift because they want to. So this, I think, comes up for a lot of people in relationship, especially, I would say, maybe in your 20s when you're still kind of learning how to date in the real world. And when that turns into long-term relationship, this can certainly be something that comes up for couples. And it's just something to think about and reflect on. If this is coming up for you, it's feedback. What am I not able to give myself that I am demanding from my partner? So when we talk about solutions or what to do instead, how to embody a healthy attachment style to your partner, you're much better off starting any relationship with the notion of, I am enough. I am whole on my own. I have an amazing life. I can live without you. I just don't really want to. When you start the relationship with that, first of all, it's so attractive, right? Like it's the opposite of clinginess. It is magnetic. But then you'll also be free, both of you free in the relationship to experience and explore other interests outside the relationship. But prior to that, actually live this out. So before you get into relationship, so we're backing up a little bit. Before you get into relationship, actually live this out. Start to create a life. Dig into hobbies and interests, things that light you up such that when you have a partner, when they come into your life and you decide, okay, I want to be with this person, it's icing on the cake. It's the proverbial cherry on top. They're not completing anything in you. You are complete. You are whole. And from there, that is like the healthy, robust, alive soil that you need for a good foundation in relationship. So two whole individuals with some separate interests and hobbies are much more likely, in my opinion, to make it long-term and be happy together because you're inviting each other into what we like to call interdependence. We didn't make that word up. It's a real thing. It's sort of the antidote to codependency, where codependency is like I'm intertwined and I can't leave this person's side and I need them to complete something inside of me. Interdependence is when couples feel closely attached and intertwined, but still totally capable of living their own life and have their own interests and making their own decisions for their life. So start there. Start before you even get into a relationship. And then I would say when you're in relationship, be curious, be excited for your partner, knowing that they have other interests, that they are curious about the world. They have other friendships. It's really important. I would say especially for men, but I think it really goes both ways. Men and women both having their own girl time or guy time or whatever that looks like for you. So ask questions. Like you go on a coffee date with a buddy. When you get back, I'm like, oh, how was it? Tell me about it. Like, how was Zach? What did you guys talk about? Like, be interested in the things that they're interested in, and they will want to share more of their life with you. If dude guy walks in the door from hanging out with his buddies and dude girl is just stone cold and she's just like pissed sitting on the couch and she's just like grumpy that he spent the night away from her or vice versa, and you don't show any interest in what your partner was doing, they're going to feel like they can't share that part of their life with you, which is counterproductive because then they're going to feel like they have to like keep secrets or that they can't share everything with you.
I feel like there's an energy too of almost manifesting. You're running the risk of like actually grooming your partner into being untrustworthy.
Yeah, being secretive.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll end on this note. If you want to go on a weekend girls trip, do it. If you want to start up a new hobby, do it. If you want to go on a solo backpacking trip in the mountains and be alone with nature, do it. If your partner objects, that's good feedback, and it turns on the light to something that could be codependency that you can address, that you can nip in the bud, and that you can start healthy practices together, figuring out how do we both lead interdependent lives together, and you are going to be wildly better off.
Yep. Yeah. Well put.
Thanks. All right. What you got?
My number one way you are sabotaging, number one, it's just simply in order, not in hierarchy. Expecting your partner to think and behave like you do. I mean, this takes many shapes, many forms. I mean, it can be as simple as expecting them to be as organized or as planned out or as scheduled as you are. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's like, you aren't as spontaneous as I am. Well, can't you just chill out a little bit and let things come to you? Maybe it's like, hey, before we make a decision, I like to research and due diligence and really think about it and meditate on it. But and I want you to be a part of that too. And the other person's like, I'm intuitive, baby. Like, I'm just going off of what my gut instinct tells me. Totally different things, right? Saving money versus spending money. Sexual preferences, like I want sex in the morning, I want sex planned, I can only have spontaneous, I can only have it when you're just animalistic and beastly and throwing me across the room, or like, no, it needs to be love making and gentle and candles and rose petals. And I mean, there's so many ways that this can go. Preferring one love language over the other. Hey, quality time. We need more quality time. We need more quality time. Why can't you get on board with this quality time thing? Well, I'm interested in words of affirmation. You aren't telling me anything. You aren't validating me. You are not complimenting me. And usually this is all accompanied by scorekeeping. Usually it's like, I have fucking done all the planning for this trip and they haven't done shit. I'm using examples from my own life. So usually it's accompanied by scorekeeping. I think we could just list a million examples here, but the main point is you are expecting your partner to process life, behave in life, have preferences in life in the same way that you would. Yeah.
Which, by the way, if that was real, if your partner was exactly the same way and thought the same way, acted, behaved, went through life the exact same way, that would be so boring.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's
not what you want.
Yeah, and clearly why it's harmful, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to set yourself up for a relationship that's, you're dating yourself or marrying yourself.
Right.
This is an example of having and putting an unreasonably high sense of worth and importance on your preferences, all while lacking the ability to understand and care about the preferences of the person you are supposed to love. This is a narcissistic tendency. It clearly. This is evidence of a transactional, conditional version of love, which is the opposite of what we're aiming for in relationship, unconditional. I think Paul Chek beautifully corrected us the other day as we were, trying to articulate how we're evolving into unconditional love. And he's like, yo, there is no unconditional love. Like,
it might take you 1,000 lifetimes.
God is unconditional love. So I'm going to reframe the way that I approach unconditional love and say the goal is unconditional love in a relationship, not that you can reach it altogether, right? Okay, I digress. This could be indicative of gender or relationship roles that are within an unconscious belief system or childhood program that you've never made conscious or evaluated. Started the episode talking about what's sitting in your subconscious or your unconscious, I should say. This could be it. Oh shit, I've got childhood programming or belief systems that are running on autopilot that I'm now unaware of and thus taking out on my significant other.
And guess what? They're dealing with the same thing. They're moving through life based on their childhood programming, based on their situation, the things that they have to work through. And something just came up for me that you're probably not going to think the words in your mind why don't they do it the way I do it?
Right.
It might be something like, well, it might just feel like your way is the sensible way.
Yeah.
And why can't they see reason?
Yeah, for sure.
So it may not be the actual sentence.
Yeah, and typically the masculine is saying, why can't they use logic and reason? And the feminine is saying, why can't they be a little bit more intuitive?
Or tapped in. Why can't they be more open and emotional? Yeah.
This is killing the spark, like you mentioned, around you're just asking for the same thing as you. Spark is when there's a positive and a negative polarity, and it causes enough friction that there's actually the spark. We've had a full episode talking about the spark. Wanting or hoping for your partner to be like you will be like setting two positive positives or a negative negative. There's no opposite to create the charge worthy enough for creating this spark in the dynamic of the relationship. These expectations are likely the expectations, if you think about this and you kind of step back, are likely the expectations that you have given yourself to uphold, because you are externalizing your value and worth and projecting them on your partner, which means it's actually like a bigger issue than your partner not just meeting your expectations. It's actually more indicative of the unrealistic expectations that you have put on yourself. Thus, when you see them play out and quote unquote failing, your frustration around these expectations is likely heightened because you yourself cannot live up to those expectations. And you're watching it play out and finding yourself frustrated.
I would also add that, like, sometimes the things that we get frustrated over are actually not that important.
Yeah.
Little examples that come up in a relationship all the time, like, oh, why didn't, they didn't do it the way that I would do it. It could be something as simple as loading the fucking dishwasher.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is the 4th time I've told him that the spoons go here, the knives go here. He's putting the cup in the wrong place. I'm being like over dramatic to make a point, but this is the kind of stuff that comes up in a relationship where it sparks a little like, you're not listening to me type of thing, where the thing behind the thing needs to be explored more.
Yeah.
Are you actually angry about the dishwasher, or is there something else that you're not saying or that you're not picking up on inside of yourself? But I will say, most of the time, if you just stop, if you just pause and ask yourself, is this actually important?
Yeah. Is it important for you? And as I shift into solutions, that's what I would encourage people to do. Evaluate the expectations that you're actually giving yourself. Does the dishwasher need to be full OCD level organized? Probably not. Where are you unrealistically creating standards and codes for behavior that you actually give yourself, and thus behave like a tyrant when others don't follow the same code? What systems of belief or unconscious programs from relationships that were modeled, likely in your childhood, are playing out here? Like, take an independent third-party perspective and witness yourself in these situations. Do you sound like your dad? Do you sound like your mom? Do you sound like your teacher, your coach, or kind of these characters that were programming and positioning you to grow up in the way that you are? And then just ask yourself, is that who you want to be? You don't know what you don't know, but like, now you know. And I think it's like Confucius that says, what is it? Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's own ignorance. Understand polarity. Diversity is the spice of life, baby. To keep the spark alive, lean into the differences in behavior. You can turn these into complements, right? And evaluate how you can complement each other and accommodate each other's preferences such that they are actually leveraged for the benefit of the relationship. Like, hey, I'm going to rationally, kind of like logically evaluate this decision, knowing that you're intuitive and in touch with your feelings and emotions. Can you intuitively process this as well? Let's meet somewhere in the middle with the data that we've accumulated through these processing ideas and come up with something between chaos and order, as Jordan Peterson would say. And if it's really important, make a specific request.
Yeah, be very clear.
Like, hey, I'm self-aware that this is OCD. I'm self-aware that it's probably excessive to be this intense about the dishwasher organization, but it's really important to me. And after a stressful day, it's just one thing that I can sort of like comfortably rest my head down at night knowing that I accomplished. And so it's very, very supportive of my well-being for you to contribute to the organization of the dishwasher.
Yeah, because it's like that could be the final straw at the end of a stressful week.
And you just got to let them know, you know.
Yeah.
Understanding love languages. We go into this at length in our conversation with Leanna, the Gem Goddess. And so check out that episode whenever it drops. But being aware that there's a difference, there's the 5 love languages, but being aware that the way you receive and feel love is oftentimes the way you default to giving love and showing love to others. So having an awareness of the chance that you're probably unconsciously doing that, and if for whatever reason your significant other doesn't have a primary love language that's the same as the way that you receive love, you might be just missing. Mm-hmm. You might be completely like throwing the ball downfield and there's nobody there to receive it.
Totally.
And so just having an awareness of like, whoa, okay, physical touch is big time. Okay, well, quality time is big time for me. Maybe during the quality time, I touch the hell out of her, right?
Yeah.
And so having an understanding there, you know, using the example of our life and specifically around our marriage, I had this like full on like lack of understanding, empathy, and compassion for why you couldn't process through, especially when it comes to like decision making and the way that we were building our life in the same way that I did. And I just had such little understanding, and it really was, you know, really for me, how much pressure I had put on myself to rationally and strategically make every decision in the proper way that would contribute to the life that we wanted.
Yeah.
And so I held myself to such a standard, and I was so strict with the way that I behaved in my life that when I witnessed you doing something different, it was triggering to me, and I'm just completely unconscious to it. It was only until I became single, divorced, alone, and was unable to keep the house clean, was unable to properly structure the groceries, the grocery lists, and the way that I could live my life, where I was like, oh, wow, yeah, this is probably an unrealistic expectation to have on anybody. Mm-hmm. And I had lots of time to reflect on how unrealistic of an expectation that I was putting on you. So don't wait until you're divorced to do this. It can be done through empathy and compassion.
Yeah, absolutely. But it all worked out for us.
It all worked out.
And we learned a lot from that.
All right. Give me your next sabotaging behavior.
Yes, this is a big one. And it really could be, as I was writing it up and thinking it out, it really could be its own entire podcast episode. I'll try to make it as succinct as possible. The next problem I want to talk about is disempowering your partner, or emasculation is a common word that's used. The reason why I want to use the word disempower is because it can go either way, from woman to man, or man to man, or woman to woman, whatever it is. This is a huge one. So I want to define it first. I think of emasculation or disempowerment basically to deprive your partner of power, to weaken or degrade. This is a really blunt to the point definition: to castrate.
Yeah. I mean, that's the literal definition of emasculating.
Yeah, emasculation. Yeah. So it could be verbal. It could be nonverbal. It could be manipulative. It could be energetic, like body language, silent treatment, withholding affection, attention, or love. This was something, and I'm going to get into examples, but this was something that I dealt with a lot in our marriage. If this is your first time listening, by the way, we were married. We were childhood sweethearts, married for 3 years, and we got to a really unbalanced place. We divorced and worked on ourselves a lot and came back together 3 years later. Now we've been in this part 2 of our relationship for over 4 years now, right?
Coming up on 4.
Yeah. Yes.
It'll be 4 in April.
Yes. Good memory.
Thanks.
So this was something that I dealt with in part 1 of our relationship, our marriage. Was I wasn't the wife that was screaming, yelling, throwing stuff at you, calling you a loser, name calling. Like, I wasn't that type. I would emasculate or degrade or take your power by giving you the silent treatment and withholding affection and attention, because that was my way of letting you know, this was very unconscious, that was my way of letting you know that like, hey, I'm hurting. You hurt my feelings. So I'm just going to basically ignore you until you figure it out and come to me, which is really common, I think, but it's wildly unhealthy and degrading to the entire relationship. So let's talk about more examples. Common ways that we emasculate or degrade, disempower our partner. Criticizing your partner in public, with friends or family, or just in your home. Discounting or disregarding your partner's thoughts and feelings. Like, oh, come on, you're overreacting. Telling them what to do or how to do it. Demeaning their work or career or their mission in the world, highlighting their weaknesses, and especially in front of other people, interrupting them. That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big
and
one.
Like, it's hard for us because we're both long-winded. We like talking. We like the fucking stage. So sometimes it's like, I want to talk so bad.
It's been something that I've very actively, I know both of us, we've very actively tried to work on.
I'm the guy who's like, yeah, let me finish telling the story because I'll tell it better. It's so bad.
Yeah. But I think that we've gotten way better. Making fun of their outfit or look or body. That's so rough. Correcting details in their story. Could be a stupid, simple story. Like you're talking about your vacation that you took last year and she like butts in and she's like, it wasn't last April, it was last May.
Yeah.
You know, like stupid stuff like that where you just want to assert, you want to prove that you know the tiny detail that he forgot.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. But we all do it. Instructing them on how to drive. That's a big one. Using sex to get what you want. Mothering, or the other word for that is nagging. And a lot of these, you know, are very common in a lot of relationships. There's probably someone listening right now or watching that's like, what? No, that's just how we interact in our relationship. And that's fine if you're totally aware. This is basically like informed consent. If you're completely aware that it could degrade the connection, that it could fizzle out polarity or that spark in the long term, and if that's how you choose to interact with your partner, knowing that, and that's what you both want, and you're willing to take that risk, and you kind of want that buddy-buddy, like jab kind of relationship, that's fine.
It's predominantly masculine. And I'm not saying male. I'm saying masculine, dominant energy types where that actually works.
Yeah.
And it is more of a companionship, bro-y kind of
it's a sarcastic, like poking each other, like making fun of each other in public to get a laugh. And like maybe neither one of you is like, oh, you crushed me when you said that in front of our friends. But is it fostering like a steamy, beautiful, sexy, passionate relationship? Like probably not. You might feel more like roommates.
Yep.
So let's talk about the energetics behind all of those things that I just shared. When you engage in this type of behavior energetically, this is what you're communicating to your partner. I don't trust you. I don't respect your decisions. What I have to say is more important. Or my part of the story is more important. Or I can tell it better. I don't accept you. I don't trust you to do it right. I don't trust you to get me there safely. I don't think your work or mission is important. You are easily manipulated. I don't think you can take care of things properly, including yourself. Those are that's so intense. That's so intense. But again, this is energetically what your partner could be hearing or picking up or just absorbing, right? Because oftentimes it's not the actual words that we say, it's the intention, it's the thing behind the thing, it's what's attached to the jab, right? And if you were, just imagine that you were a fly on the wall and you were listening to someone else say these things to your partner, you'd probably get like fucking like angry. You'd probably get defensive of your partner, like, what the fuck, leave them alone. Or like, they don't deserve that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And you've talked about this before, you know, quite a few times on the podcast when you were trying to develop more empathy for me in certain situations. If you were listening to someone else speak to your partner the way that you speak to them, what would you do? You'd probably get really angry. Mm-hmm. So why is it okay for us to do that to our partner?
Yeah, I know it's weird, and it was an exercise that I actually used as, you know, the standard bullying older brother, which I really didn't do often. My brother's like literally my best friend, and it was as a child. And I think I realized it because 2 years apart, we always played sports together. And when I would witness my friends or older kids roughhousing him or bullying him in any way, I got very defensive.
Yeah, that's really common that's really common.
But it also made me realize how much of a dick I was to him at times in our family dynamic. Mm-hmm. And it made me feel shitty, and at a young age. And so as that kind of played out in our relationship, I remember similarly being like, oh wow, if someone I witnessed was talking to her in that way or had the level of expectations.
You're talking about me now.
Yeah, going back to like what we were talking about earlier, like, wow, if I witnessed someone else holding like her boss or something, like having that ridiculous of expectations for her, I'd be like, chill the fuck out, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, that's me.
Mm-hmm. So why do we do this to arguably the person that we love most in the world, right? I think that there's a host of reasons why we engage in this type of behavior. And a lot of it, I think, is unconscious. Some of it, though, is conscious. So I think some of the reasons include, and this is certainly not exhaustive, but we want to make ourselves feel powerful, to get a laugh out of a group, if you're in a group sort of dynamic, to prove that we are right or that we know the right answer, to wound back, to let them know we are hurting, like the example that I shared where I was like, you may have hurt my feelings and I'm just going to give you the silent treatment. That was my unconscious way of letting you know that I was hurting. To one up, to show our intelligence, to control the situation. And like all these things, they feel good for a second.
Yeah, for sure.
They feel good for a second. You get that like pleasure rush, mm-hmm. similar to if you were to engage or eat fast food. Emasculation or disempowering your partner is the fast food of communication. Both feel really good. It tastes good for a second until it doesn't. And the negative effects last much longer, arguably through the entire duration of your relationship.
Yeah.
Because it's cumulative, right? It lasts much longer than that initial first, few seconds of like, ooh, I got him, right? Or I got her. And so this is why emasculation or disempowerment, I'm just going to use the word emasculation, but just know that I'm speaking to both genders here, okay? This is why emasculation doesn't just hurt the person who's being emasculated. It affects the other person as well. When we emasculate, bit by bit, we are causing distance in the relationship, maybe unconsciously. Then you have to live in that disconnected reality, right? So you are creating your own reality where now you're in a disconnected relationship. And certainly it can go both ways, but you might be wondering, 4 or 5 years into marriage, like, what the heck? When we were dating, when we were engaged, when we were newly married, we were so passionate and playful, and we were so much more connected than we are now. This could be one of those things that is contributing to that disconnect. Because I like to think of emasculation as like paper cuts, death by 1,000 paper cuts.
For sure.
And your partner can take 1, 5, 10, maybe even 100 paper cuts. But how many paper cuts until they start to numb, until they have to go into survival mode, until they lash out in anger because they just can't take it anymore, right? So it's something to think about, that it's not just about your partner. It's not just about being kind to your partner for the sake of being kind. It's also the reality that you're creating, that you get to experience after that point.
Yeah, it's funny. Data suggests around relationships that emasculation / disempowering your significant other for men, they'll numb. They may not end the relationship. That's the thing. The conveniences of the relationship for them, oftentimes, especially if we're talking about marriage, they'll keep the marriage, but they'll numb, and will eventually lead to cheating in the worst case, or even just separate life that they're not interested in sharing with the other.
Yeah.
Like an independent life that's unhealthy, because it's separate and it's reclusive. For women, it's tolerated, but then the home is toxic. They will kind of because of their own having felt disempowered, will start to impact the entire dynamic of the home, where the man will oftentimes leave altogether and just kind of create another world and numb at home. The female in a lot of these cases will actually impact the entire home and the kids and their relationship, and it just becomes awful. And then ultimately, again, in the worst case, they will cheat, and oftentimes the cheating is an immediate end to the relationship. The man will oftentimes cheat and still keep the dynamic of the home. Statistically, that's more of the case with men. And women will end the relationship altogether, no chance for reconciliation, and completely start over with somebody else.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it is. And that's the extreme, right? Is being unfaithful, cheating on your partner. But I think a lot of people choose to stay in the relationship, but both people are just chronically low grade unhappy.
Yeah.
Right? Where you're around this couple and you're like, do you guys even like each other? I know you say you love each other, but do you like each other?
Yeah.
Personally, I want to be in a relationship. I want to create a relationship, and we are, where we're 60 years old and we're still best friends, but we still behave like newlyweds, right? We're still playful and we still compliment each other. We're still madly in love with each other. And that can be created. It's not inevitable that you'll become distant roommate type scenario. Okay, so what do we do? What do we do instead? And again, this could be an entire episode in and of itself. So if emasculation, degrading your partner, is something you struggle with, like I said, the first step is just awareness. Just observe in yourself when the urge to degrade or disempower your partner comes up. That's the first step, is just awareness. And then ask yourself, why do I feel like I need to degrade my partner? What's behind this? Is it for a laugh? Is it to tell them I'm hurting? Is it to wound back? What is the why? And just get curious about that. Don't judge yourself, just get curious. Then from there, in the moment, count to 20, take 6 deep breaths, especially if it's something like you're wounding back. If they say something that's hurtful and you have this urge to wound back and say something degrading, take 6 deep breaths, count to 20, and then speak from that more balanced place. You can also ask yourself, is what I'm about to say kind and necessary? That in and of itself is a great filter. You can ask yourself, is what I'm frustrated over actually important? Most likely, it's probably not. If it is important, if the answer is yes, then ask yourself, what is the thing behind the thing here? What am I actually frustrated about? Might not be the dishes in the sink, where I want to tell them, you're a lazy piece of crap. I asked you to do the dishes and you can't even do that. What can I trust you for? Instead of that, ask yourself, what's the thing behind the thing? I'm feeling disconnected. I'm feeling unheard, unseen, disrespected. Then take that to your partner. Hey, I know I asked you to do the dishes, and obviously I'm seeing that they're not done. I'm starting to feel like I'm in this by myself, and that it's the responsibility of taking care of our home is all on me, and that really doesn't feel good. That's a much different conversation, but you still get the same point across. If you don't know what to say, just speak to what's coming up in your body. And this is really, really helpful. I have used this plenty of times. So depending on what your tendency is in relationship, the example could be something like, if you're in the throes of wounding, It can be something like, hey, I can feel my tendency right now is to wound you back, or it could be suppress, but I know that's not helpful for our relationship, so I'm not going to engage. So just simply speaking to what's coming up in your body can be helpful as you navigate this new awareness. If your partner is wounding you, you can simply say something like, oh, damn, ouch, that really hurt. It's not as fun to wound someone. It's not as enjoyable or fulfilling to wound someone who's not wounding back. If you simply give an ouch, it's like, oh shit, that really did hurt her. And the last in the moment kind of response that you can say is, hey, I know you really love me, but when blank happens, I don't feel loved. I feel blank. Could be like, hey, I know you really love me, but when you make fun of me in front of our friends, I don't feel loved. I feel sad. I feel stupid. I feel hurt. So these are some phrases that you can kind of adopt, put into your tool belt, and bring out as needed. And then, in the long run, like what to do more of to combat this is choose to empower your partner instead. If we are actively choosing to make our partner feel like a king or feel like a queen, they will want to show up for you better. Okay. And I know you know this, you embody this beautifully. But I really want you to feel like a fucking king, because I know when you have that power and confidence, I'm not talking about overpowering. I'm just talking about self-empowerment. When you have that power and that strength and that confidence, you show up for me better. And I love that. So I'm going to continue to do things that make you feel like a king. I'm going to speak to the things that I love about you. I'm going to show you gratitude. I'm going to compliment you. I'm going to, speak into you in front of other people, speak to your strengths. I'm not going to highlight your weaknesses and things like that. I want you to feel like a king. When your partner does something that you love, tell them and be specific. Like, and say what it provided for you. Like, oh my gosh, I love that you vacuumed and I didn't even ask you to. When you help me out with the household stuff, like it seriously takes, you don't even know how much stress it takes off of my plate when you do things like that out of the blue. Thank you so much. Like,
you're welcome.
Think about, it sounds like I'm embellishing, but sometimes, like, especially men have more of a dense nervous system, and it takes a little bit of like above and beyond for them to really like hear how much you love and appreciate the thing. I would say speak into them. Like I said, speak into your partner in private and in front of others. Highlight their strengths. And I would say also, lastly, listen to our check-in episode. I think it's number 113. And this is for more tips on crystal clear communication with your partner, how you can give each other feedback in a very conscious, safe, and I would say healthy way. You're both giving and receiving feedback to each other. Obviously, we don't have time to go into it today, but just check out episode number 113. Last thing I'm going to close with is, again, this is not just about being nice for the sake of being nice and just being kind to your partner just because. This is about your partner and you. This is about giving up the paper cuts and cultivating real power that's fueled by love, which only provides more safety and freedom in your relationship. It is truly magical what your partner will show you when they feel completely safe in the relationship, safe to be themselves, and safe to just express who they are without being in survival mode or numbing mode. So give up the paper cuts and you will likely discover a much more attentive and engaged partner. That was a lot. I know.
Yeah, that was a lot. It was great.
It was a lot. Like I said, it could have been a whole episode.
Yeah, definitely. All right. That was awesome. Just such a rich topic. Definitely one we'll get into on a podcast in its entirety, because I think this is a vast cavern of challenge as it pertains to relationships.
Mm-hmm. And communication is hard. It's something that we have to keep learning about in every stage of the relationship. So we're never done learning about how to consciously communicate. You ready for your second?
My second way that people are sabotaging their relationship unconsciously is looking to individuals, biased individuals, for relationship advice. What does this mean? This is typically family or friends. So, examples, family who will tend to side with you no matter what you've done because they love you, right? I mean, and that's awesome family to have, but you could like borderline, commit a crime and they'd be advocating for you. Or family who actually does not provide any evidence of having healthy relationship history or healthy marriage. Even if it's like long-standing marriages, it could be bitter. It could be sexually neutral.
You could hear from your parents like, hey, we've been married for 50 years and we know, It's like, well, you guys aren't happy.
Right, exactly. Friends who are single and are consciously or unconsciously trying to sabotage your relationship. And there's a host of different reasons that could be the case. Maybe they want you to be single again so that they can have their single friend back. Maybe they want to validate their own lifestyle choices and feel a little bit better about how freaking lonely they are, or the relationship issues that they've had.
Or they're unhappy in their current relationship and they want to kind of commiserate.
Yep. Friends who also are having relationship challenges, and you're simply commiserating together. You're getting together to complain and create low vibration conversation and energy around just relationship and your significant others all together. Common bits of family or friend relationship advice that might sound familiar. The best way to get over one man is to get underneath another, which I don't know, always makes me laugh. All men cheat. So if he's paying the bills, working, and not hitting you, then just stay where you're at.
Not hitting you. That's right. The bar.
I always knew she wasn't loyal. A lot of times you can have a mother-in-law or something that doesn't like you from day one, and they're just going to wait for that opportunity and then jump in, right?
Yeah.
Withholding sex. Like withholding sex, hey, just threaten sex or removing sex from the equation and watch him behave or whatever. That women should obey their husbands as the Lord says. Something familiar from the community that we came out of. Nah, dude, everybody looks at porn. It's really not a big deal. Or everybody goes to strip clubs on their bachelor party.
Yeah.
So these are just some traditional friend or family relationship advice. Why is this harmful? Your friends and family mean well. I'm actually not trying to say that you should avoid all friends and family. But there's a good chance they're still clutching to old belief systems about relationships. They can only tell you what they know and what they've experienced. So if you're paying attention to what their relationship lives look like, there's a good chance they're going to be speaking to you through that lens. Listening to friends and family is actually how a lot of people stay stuck in what is becoming a common term, which is these generational patterns that take place in every single lane of life, relationships being one of them. Generational negative patterns. If this is the case, and you just continue to either unconsciously behave or take advice from the people who have essentially provided you your subconscious programming, your unconscious is already giving you the advice of what your friends and family have told you already. So you're kind of going back to the well of dysfunction. You're going to end up like your father, your mother, your siblings, or whatever, your close friends, your high school friends, or whatever. Be mindful. Some of them don't actually want what's best for you either.
Yeah.
And dude, sometimes it's conscious. Sometimes it's betrayal is often too common with friends and families. Wildly enough, it's psychologically a fact where people who are your closest allies can end up betraying you in the most deep ways. not saying be paranoid, but just be mindful. Again, shouldn't be 100% off limits, but make sure the person to whom you are going to for support is trustworthy, is going to give you objective advice, and will sometimes just listen. Mm-hmm. Especially if they're not consistently dumping on your significant other, rather reframing it to focus on you and your experience and how you can show up better. Seek a mentor. Like, as we're moving into kind of this solution phase, how do we move past this? Well, seek a mentor, a counselor, someone who actually does not have their well-being attached to your relationship outcome.
Yeah.
Or someone who actually, they might have even some bias, but have a really robust, healthy relationship dynamic themselves, where even if you aren't hearing from them directly, you're able to watch how the relationship unfolds from a close distance. Mm-hmm. And then again, like, if you can, just talk to your partner about issues before going to your best friend from high school or to your mom, because it actually hurts really bad in relationship when you know that your significant other has been emotionally dumping some of the intimate challenges in the relationship to their friends or family. Mm-hmm. It feels weird when you see them the next time, knowing that there's this like, well, they probably think I'm a fucking asshole. And so like, of course, if you're having serious relationship problems that bleed into trauma and abuse and things like that, of course you need to seek outside help and counsel. But also have the conversation with your significant other about how comfortable you are with each other sharing dynamics of the relationship to outside parties, and how you do that. Yeah,
totally. And I think something that could be helpful is finding a mentor that doesn't have a preference for either one of you. Like, you wouldn't want to go to a buddy from college who knows you and doesn't really, care for your girlfriend or whatever. You want to find a mentor that like loves you equally. Like, I know that if one of us was having issues, like really big issues or something, and one of us, we needed advice or whatever, either one of us could go to Paul Check because he loves us equally and he truly wants the best for us. And either one of us could completely trust what he's going to say because he doesn't have an attached bias or outcome that he's looking for.
Right.
And just to reiterate, I think it's really important for couples to have at least one other couple that they admire for their relationship. Not just, they're fun to hang out with, but you see them actively working in and on their relationship. I think that is an absolutely crucial nutrient for couples to have at least one. And it was something that, you and I really didn't have in our marriage. No. Part one. Maybe one, but we definitely could have used more. Just being around people that are also doing the conscious relationship work is really uplifting.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to your last way.
Last one for me. This one's going to be much shorter than the last, I promise. So the last way that you could be sabotaging your relationship and not know it is you wait for your partner to give you what you feel is lacking in the relationship. So some examples. What do I mean by that? Maybe you've both been working a lot lately, taking care of the kids. You've both been busy and you feel a little bit of distance building. You don't feel as connected as you would like to be. And you just think to yourself like, God, I wish you would just like pick up on it and plan a date for us. So that's one example. You've been learning about the masculine and feminine dynamic from the Medicin podcast, and you know that there's room for growth in your relationship. Maybe you're nervous to bring it up to your partner, but you wish that they would just magically become interested in it too. I wish I didn't even have to like convince them of this, or like, I wish they would just want to learn about this stuff and it's not all on me. Maybe your relationship used to be super playful and fun. Now, all she wants to do for quality time is sit on the couch, watch Netflix, and get into a scroll hole. And you think to yourself, like, God, I wish she would just like show interest in some other activities. Like, we used to have so much fun together. In all of these instances, you are waiting for your partner to essentially read your mind of what you're thinking and bring that to the relationship. And this is harmful. This is a problem because there's nothing wrong with wanting more out of your relationship. There's nothing wrong with wanting to go deep and really connect on an intimate, vulnerable, juicy, passionate level. There's nothing wrong with that. But there is something wrong with expecting your partner to read your mind and telepathically pick up on whatever it is, whatever that nutrient is that you feel like is missing. It's unfair to them to expect them to read your mind. This is unfair because essentially you're putting them through a test that they don't know they're taking. I can't remember where I heard this from, but I think it was Alison Armstrong. And she's the GOAT on this kind of stuff, communication, things like that. And she was like, don't put him through a test he doesn't know he's taking. And I heard that line when we were separated, when we were divorced and not speaking. And I was like, fuck, I did that to him all the time. And it really hit me and it made me really sad because that's so unfair to you. And it can create a lot of bitterness and resentment in relationship. And it really just gives them no chance to deliver the thing that you feel like is missing. So what do we do instead? Instead of this lose-lose situation, we must become what we want to experience in relationship. Do not wait for your partner to read your mind. Most likely they won't. Maybe you'll get lucky.
Yeah,
and
most
they will.
guys won't.
Most people won't. So if you want to have a date night or connect with your man, surprise him by hiring a babysitter. Just take the lead on it. Hey, I would love to connect with you. I hired a babysitter tonight. We're going to do something fun. Who wouldn't love that, right? And you both get to experience that. You're both getting what you want. If you want your partner to become more interested in the masculine and feminine dynamic and how they play together, embody the concepts without saying anything and show them that it works. They will pick up on the changes that you're making. And then it can be like this natural conversation of like, yeah, I've just been learning about this and I really like it. And yeah, if you're ever interested in it, I would love to share. If you want to experience more play with your partner, take the lead, surprise her with a game night. Tell her that you want to try a new recipe and cook dinner together. And then, hey, we're going to put our phones away. We're going to turn them off, put them in the other room. And it's just going to be you and me all night. There is not a woman alive that wouldn't be down for that. That wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, that sounds so fun. I love it. Let's do it. It has to be delivered in the right way, obviously. If you want more love, be more loving. If you want more kindness in your relationship, don't wait for your partner to start being more kind to you. Be more kind. If you want some steaminess in your sex life, buy some new lingerie and surprise him. Don't wait for him to take the lead necessarily.
Or her. Don't wait for her to take the lead as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We're interchanging everything.
Yeah, no, I'm not
genders.
criticizing. I'm just like, just in case a guy is listening, like it's not on the woman to take the lead here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Become what you want to experience. Your partner will appreciate the clear communication and you will feel like a weight is lifted off your chest and you will be experiencing and receiving the nutrient that you felt like was missing. So do not wait for your partner to pick up on it. Just start. Just be the thing. Embody the thing that you want to experience. Then after the thing, whatever it was, gush with your partner about how much you loved it, how much it lit you up, how much you want to do more of it. And if you're speaking to a man, like I said before, amp it up a little bit. Let him really see how much it's lighting you up, and he will take note. He will remember. Hopefully he'll lock it away, and maybe he will take the initiative next time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. It's like these different preferences as far as how you communicate in a relationship: kindness, empathy, compassion, gentleness, leadership, romance. Again, like if you're waiting for your partner to take the initiative, you've already lost the game because you're scorekeeping. It's an immediate step into scorekeeping. Rather, create those portals, those channels for communication yourself. Yeah. Because if it's the right person for you, if you only choose to communicate through those lenses, like think of them as tunnels of communication, they will realize that to communicate back to you, they must similarly engage with the same with that channel. If you are kind to them, the person who loves you and cares about you is going to say, wow, they're creating a tunnel to me through their communication that is a tunnel of kindness. I'm going to now communicate back to them because they've literally stretched out the hand of kindness in the way that they're communicating to me. And if they are the wrong person for you, they'll be a dick. And they'll continue to be a dick despite your efforts of opening up all of these opportunities for them to succeed.
Totally.
Even if that sucks, it's clear indication that they're not the person for you.
It's still good feedback.
Still good feedback.
Yeah. All right. Last one from you is the big one.
Oh, last one. This is a big one. This is one that I'm going to talk about a lot this year. It is weighing on me to communicate. And I don't know if I have it right. I don't know if I have it all right, I should say. Because it's complex and it's deep and it's painful. And I think it's really fucking up a lot of things in not just relationships, in every lane. And it's predominantly men. And so I'm going to speak to mostly men here. And this will not be the last time I speak about this. But this is one of the major ways you're unconsciously but also consciously sabotaging your relationship. That is through having a porn habit. That is through consuming large amounts of porn, or even consistent, frequent strip club attendance, or only, it doesn't have to be like hardcore porn. It can be OnlyFans or
Instagram, like certain pages,
boobies and butt Instagram pages, right? Why is this harmful? And so I'm going to be talking about this a lot because it's just been weighing on me. I see it deteriorating humanity and men at large, masculinity at large. It's reward without having earned it. It is pleasure without responsibility. Viewing porn excessively can often be overlooked, because it's ridiculously normal, because it has become all too common. I'm sure there is somebody out there who can look at porn once a week. They've got a little ceremony around it. They
sage themselves.
They sage themselves. They consume it. They jerk off, and they are fine until next week. And they've built in the same way that there's probably somebody out there who can have a bowl of Fruity Pebbles on Saturday night, one bowl. They're like, you know what? I have an urge for 50 more bowls, for having it tomorrow, for having it for the rest of the week. But I know that this is not a great thing for me long term. But I need something. I need some reprieve from the world, and so I'm going to give myself this one bowl one time a week. And they do it once a week. They're crushing Fruity Pebbles. There's probably somebody out there who can do it. I'm not speaking to you, motherfucker. I'm speaking to the person who has that bowl, the person who looks at the porn and is literally unable to stop that insatiable thirst for more. When innocent sexual urges start to take hold of your free will, demanding they be fulfilled, it is time to reel it in. That is what I'm seeing in men. That's what I'm seeing in masculinity. It's what I'm seeing in the world. And it's sucking away the life force energy that is one of the pillars of masculinity, of leadership, strength.
This is what you meant when you said it's not just fucking up your relationship. It's bleeding into probably multiple aspects of life.
Yep. I won't go into some of the neurobiology and the actual chemistry. I actually did that on the Setting Free in 2023, the things we're saying fuck it to this year, where I talked about short dopamine hits and what they do to the chemistry of the brain. Specifically, porn is of utmost severity in that lane. But I'm going to address a few other things today, and I'm going to use, once again, neurobiologist Dr. Andrew Huberman. He says, because of the way that porn taps into these very primitive systems, it is as serious as some of the other drugs of abuse, not unlike the opioid crisis. People addicted to porn constantly crave erotic displays to the point where it takes over everything in their life. Their job, home, families, hobbies, aspirations all take a back seat as they are overtaken for their need of escapism through pornography. In some cases, they might start watching porn in public. They can't help themselves, like at work, public buses, trains, airplanes. But why does it matter how often someone watches porn, you might ask? Well, even if they don't think that it affects them, it certainly affects the people around them. Any type of addiction has an influence on your life and the people that you love. It is interfering with your relationship. He's asking a question. Do you think it's interfering in your relationship? Does it disrupt your day? Does it cause you to disengage with your feelings and your ability to care for other humans, for human connection, for intimacy? Yes. Studies have shown that many who frequently consume porn tend to pull away emotionally from their partners. They start keeping secrets more. They start lying more. They're occasionally entering depressive states after having never had depression throughout their history. These are adults, strictly because they're over consuming porn. This in turn hurts their partner. This is the context that we're talking about, relationships. When they sense their significant other drawing away, preferring porn over real intimacy is actually a crushing blow then to their self-esteem. They start to question their abilities in bed, the interests that their partner might have, and even their attractiveness.
Both people can question it about
Absolutely.
themselves,
Yeah.
because this could be the feminine being like, is there something wrong with me? Am I not sexy? Am I not what he wants? And dude guy is experiencing, lack of libido because he's drilled in a neural pathway of basically like what he gets turned on by.
Totally.
And so if a screen turns him on more than his in the flesh woman who's standing naked in front of him, he could be like, damn, what's wrong with me?
There's a clear connection to impotence. And these are cases where people might actually have firing hormonal systems. Like, it's not that they have traditional erectile dysfunction because of old age or blood flow. It's actually because of a desensitization to your sexual preferences. It becomes transactional. It becomes without effort. And so your genitalia literally doesn't respond because you've trained it to be short duration, quick pleasure hits with little to no work, little to no romance, foreplay, long drawn out relationship type intercourse, and rather a quick transaction like you're pulling on the lever of a slot machine.
Yeah.
So again, there's so many other things that I'm definitely going to be getting into in more detail this year. Would love to bring somebody on to talk about this in even further detail, because of what we're actually now finding is fucking up our chemistry and our actual wiring. But for the sake of this conversation, clearly hurts your partner, which is why we're bringing it up. Partners find out about porn use and they've looked at the brain, and the actual emotional reaction and the chemical reaction in the brain of the partner who finds out that their significant other has a porn habit is near identical to that of finding your partner cheating on you. It fucks up fucking. Like, this is another reason it's so bad. People who tend to spend too much time watching pornography have trouble performing regular sex. The reason, just like alcohol, like you start out with beer, maybe some wine, maybe it's a couple nights a week, then it's every night a week, and then you're like, well, it better be a cocktail, better be a mixed drink, and then you're fucking chugging out of the bottle, stem down, of a fifth of vodka, right? It's the same process with pornography. How do we move out of this? Like, and there's so much more that I could go into here. But how do we move out of this? One, like, guys, just cool it. Just like bluntly stop jerking off to porn. I'm not saying it's easy. I am a man who has looked at porn. I'm a man who likes seeing naked women. I'm a heterosexual man. My body responds to it. I'm able to observe that and know that it's going to damage my relationship if I follow through on anything further. But dude, it's enticing shit. I'm a heterosexual man with a firing libido. It is a slippery slope. Like, do whatever you have to do. And so this is where I'm going to lean on somebody that we look up to a lot, Jordan Peterson. He talks about porn not being the only issue. And so sometimes to get through something that is so addicting, you have to think creatively. You have to think outside of the box and find some other motivating driving factor so that you can rationalize your way out of this thing. If you can't get to the point where, wow, this is fucking up my relationship. Wow, this is actually fucking up my brain chemistry, the functions of my hormones. You might need to get even further outside the box. Like, this is an issue with your life. Maybe your relationship, for sure. You know, there could be the root cause that's not enough spice in the relationship or something like that. But your life may not be filled with enough passion. Like, are you intentionally leaning into a purpose, into a legacy? I think most of us do not have the appreciation for actually how powerfully damaging this has become, and it's everywhere. Like, in the most innocent, it's nudes on Instagram. In the most severe, it's some of the kinkiest, weirdest things that you can possibly imagine that are consumed at large volume on the internet.
Mm-hmm. And you hear frequently from people who speak about porn that it starts out as just looking at topless people. Then it slowly progresses and you need something a little weirder, a little kinkier, a little more risque, little weirder, like little by little by little. And we know people in our lives who that's taken them down a very slippery slope into illegal activity.
Sure. Yep.
I'm going to leave it there, but
yep.
It's not as uncommon as we all might think.
Yeah. So Dr. Jordan Peterson says, you need a vision of life that's more compelling than the porn. You need a counter vision too that frightens you, because otherwise porn is obviously extremely gratifying in the short term, but you seem to be suffering from the medium to long-term consequences of its use. And so you need a story that you can tell yourself that's really deep, really thought through about why this is not appropriate for you, how it's hurting you. He says there are 3 key steps to start this journey. First, recognize the problem. Nobody, not even a therapist, can help if you don't acknowledge the problem. And then I would also add to this, in the context of relationship, tell your partner, like, and ladies or men, you know, however it shakes out, I'm going to say this is 90% going to be on ladies, have compassion and empathy, because this is a really, really addicting thing that is
it's an actual
wildly
addiction.
Common. And so if you can hold space and make this a safe place for him to share this, it's going to be significantly better for him in this process of moving out of it.
I would also, can I add something there from the feminine perspective? This isn't necessarily something that I've dealt with or that we've dealt with. I'm thankful that this has never been an issue in our relationship, but I think that there is time. Say your man does come to you and he's honest and like, hey, I have this issue, this problem, it's taking over. I really want to shift. I want to change. I want this to be done in my life. I'm trying to figure this out. Yes, empathy. I think that there is some amount of reflection that the woman can do. Just thinking like, am I, as a sexual partner, am I showing up in the best way? So if dude guy has a porn habit and he's been looking at porn for years and years, but the girl or the woman is not interested in sex at all,
right,
and
sure.
she's like only open for business twice a year, I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying that this is an opportunity for reflection on what do you both want?
Yeah.
If you want wildly different things when it comes to sex, if she wants it twice a year and he wants it twice a week, that's a big disconnect. Sure. And that's also good feedback. I'm just putting that out there that I don't want it to be 100% all on the men. I think that there is a little bit of space for us as the partner to reflect on how we're showing up. Are we safe for him to share his fantasies with?
Yeah, I think that is just a piece of relationship advice at large that is wildly beneficial, is like, how are you evaluating your sex life? How can you spice it up? How can you introduce novelty? How can you explore fantasies together? Even if it's things you've never thought of, like, again, using our example, we got together super young, and like I looked at porn in middle school. But it was like, boobs, typing boobs in on Google Images and stuff. And I've looked at it in my adult life as well. And, by no means like a complete Puritan here. But we just were together so young that we were always sexually experiencing novelty all the time in the way that we grew up. And then we eventually get married, and then we're having sex and we're married. And it's like, that was just never a pattern that was built into the dynamic of our relationship. So yeah, it's good for us to actually continue to talk about fantasies and spicing it up, and how can we play with the sexual polarity, because that's a really cool and amazing thing. Mm-hmm. So I think that just that conversation in a relationship can, one, be always a healthy one. Two, it might actually provide an outlet in this recovery process for experiencing a new brain chemical response feedback loop that is amazing, and actually diverting of those urges that might be to something more transactional. Mm-hmm. Might take some work after building that pornographic habit, but I think it can be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to his second suggestion on really getting over porn or moving through the addiction that is to porn. He says, second, you have to find a way to stop. This would mean eliminating all porn from all devices and breaking any links that supply it. So like there are like softwares and like quite literally, it's like removing all the alcohol out of your cupboards because you are an addict. And so there might be a setting or an environment where you need to have those literal guardrails on your technological devices. And
God damn, that's so hard with literally a supercomputer in your pocket at all times.
Yeah.
Because if he really wants to get around it, he can.
Yeah. But
so you have to really want.
It's they've looked at it, and it's as addicting as cocaine or sugar. And I've been addicted to sugar 100%. Like I couldn't go a day without getting a fix of some kind. Mm-hmm. And you
get grumpy when you don't have it.
Yep. And I actually had to eliminate sugar altogether, and it had to be long periods of time. Like I can now consume sugar just fine. One slice of cake and I'm good. Don't need any more. I don't have that like psychopathic monster that could take down an entire tray of brownies
or an entire box of Golden Grams.
But I'm talking about a year or more of no sugar. And it was that level of detox. It was that level of abstinence. And I would argue the same might have to happen for you to then be able to see a topless woman and be like, okay, I'm good. Like I'm whatever. I'm not like so triggered that I need to go.
I didn't just relapse.
Tunnel into a scroll hole of titties and butt cheeks. And then third, he says, you might actually need professional help. Like you might actually need a therapist. Direct your energy towards strengthening your body, but your mind and your psychology. Mm-hmm. So do not hesitate to bring in an expert. I think sex therapy is something that's like even more embarrassing than therapy for addictive substances or something along those lines. But there are groups, there are communities, there are people. There are men's groups this is a pillar of most men's groups. We had Ben Goreski on the podcast, and that's probably going to come out after this episode is dropped. But we talk about that as well. He has a men's group community and where you have other men holding each other accountable. You're meeting on a weekly or consistent basis, and every single one of these meetings has something around your sexual health, and most of the time that means a check-in on your porn or kind of journey through avoiding it or being free from it is probably the better way to phrase it. So this is just a snippet, but it's absolutely crushing relationships. It's crushing men and masculinity. And it's everywhere, man. It's like literally in everything. It's like glyphosate.
Yeah,
it's like fucking glyphosate and pesticides are in everything. And it takes such ninja life skills to avoid it. And you won't avoid it. You'll have it in your system. You will. And it's a matter of what do you do with that information and how do you behave after having that trigger? So it's something I want to get into more. I'm just teasing it a little bit here, but I think this is something that is wildly relevant and, been on my heart, I guess you would say.
No, I love that. I mean, I think it's relevant, it's important, and it unfortunately is like an epidemic.
And honestly, like I've been concerned to talk about it. I'm afraid of pretending like I have it figured out and then being tempted by something at some point. Like I'm actually legitimately afraid of being like, oh, everybody, you should not do this. It's like, here's how bad it is for you. And then being the person who is a poser, you hear about pastors and stuff like that who are preaching so hard on a particular topic that it actually like creates this little like opportunity for a taboo behavior that they then kind of like in secret do the opposite of the thing that they're advocating for or against. And so there's a part of me that's like aware of that and I've been like, maybe I just shouldn't touch this.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's normal. I think that you're being conscientious. You are being mindful of also like just the sensitivity around the topic because it's not easy. It's complicated. It's not just looking at images. It like roots its claws deep into men in every aspect of their life. And so a topic like that, I think it's prudent to approach it with thoughtfulness, not to just jump into it because, you want to talk about it, but maybe you don't have enough, experience or wisdom around the topic. But I think I think it's great that you're bringing it up. And I know that there's someone listening or watching that this is, nudging them.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the nudge that they needed to hear to really dive deep into this aspect of their life. And maybe it changes their life.
Yeah, for sure. I'm open to talk about it with anybody. I don't have a ton of experience in this, but I'll likely hear you, hold space for you, and redirect you to like a men's group or something like that. Got a great community of people who are coaches and leaders of tribes and councils of men who are really, really, really trying to embody the balanced masculinity that we've talked so often about on this show that people like John Wineland are leading the charge on. And so I will gladly be an advocate for funneling somebody into one of those systems. And
some of the people you just named, some of the leaders of these groups are guys that have overcome that addiction and they can, speak to it and they're on the other side of it and their life is completely transformed because of it. So sure. It's possible.
It is.
All right.
Guys, thanks so much. That was 6 ways you are unconsciously sabotaging your relationship. Let's do a recap. Number 1, you feel threatened by your partner's independence. Number 2, you're expecting your partner to think or behave or have preferences that are the same as you. 3, you're disempowering your partner and or emasculating your partner. Number 4, looking to individuals, biased individuals in the forms of friends and family for relationship advice. Number 5, you wait for your partner to give you what you feel is lacking in your relationship. And lastly, porn.
Porn. Yeah, no, I think that's really great. And we would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Leave us a comment. If we miss something, or if you have different thoughts, or if you just want to add to the conversation, we're always happy to hear from you. And I got to hear from you, my love. What is your medicine today?
My medicine today, well, I started the podcast talking about it, really. It was waterboarding, or honeyboarding, if you will.
Honeyboarding.
It was the facial that I had. It was 2 hours. I've never had a facial before. My completely virgin face skin had never seen such action. And it was everything from massage to exfoliation. There was like a dermal roller that was going around my face, a host of different, you know when you're having things done to your face or like your mouth when you're at the dentist or something, you're always wondering like, what is this thing? Because you can't really see it when it's that close to your face. So you envision what the color is, what it actually looks like. And so these different things are on my face, and what seemed to be towels or like cloths. Yeah. I was just like, what the fuck does my face look like right now? And so sometimes I would actually laugh. Yeah. I would like, my face would crack a smile a little bit. Because I would think about what my face looked like if I just walked into the room and looked at myself. So that was fun, and it felt really, really good. And she was a super sweet gal.
Super sweet gal. And you're glowing. So
I'm glowing.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. But that's my medicine today. So now I got to know next what you have in store for your medicine today.
That was a really unique way to ask. My medicine today was my morning walk. I had about an hour and 15-minute walk in the San Diego sunshine. And it was medicinal. I caught up with a girlfriend, shout out to Hallie. And we talked for a while and caught up on life and everything. And it was just great. I took a day off of lifting and just got a bunch of steps in and sat in the sunshine, let it hit my face, and got that morning sunlight into my eyeballs, and felt great.
Sun's out, buns out.
My buns weren't out. It's not that warm. It was about 46. So
it did get 70 today, though.
It did it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. My buns could have been out.
They will be.
All right, you guys, thanks for hanging with us today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And let us know what you thought of the episode. We always want to hear from you. Our DM doors are always open. My Instagram handle is at Mimi_the_medicine.
Mine is at _Chasen_1. And spread the word. We wildly appreciate word of mouth and sharing this podcast with the people you know who would love it.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk to you next time. Go spread some light.
Thank you so much for listening.
If you enjoyed that, check out right over here for some more fun clips.
Oh, and you're going to want to subscribe.
Bye.